this is how you play a special operative class in the style of Leon Kennedy, but let's be honest, it's just Leon Kennedy's D&D class. This is even what I named the document. And, well, this Leon class plays like a hybrid fighter almost. He attacks a lot, he attacks multiple times with extra attack abilities, and he is also extremely survivable. He is like the perfect balance of a class. He also has a couple of crafting capabilities, but he has no magic whatsoever. So no magic means he doesn't... No magic is just no magic. I mean, what else can I really say there? But he's gonna fit into a party that needs a tank, almost. Kind of like a tank. He's half tank, half damage. Kind of like a fighter, but more durable, honestly. He gets to a point where he can no longer be infected by disease, or is extremely resistant to it. He has abilities to buff allies, buff himself, extra attack, and each of these will drastically change. There are also 2 subclasses, as of right now. They each will change kind of the style of how he plays. So, we're going to start off by explaining his level 1 through 5 features. Level 1 is Brutal Perception. It does exactly what it sounds, gives him either proficiency in perception or expertise in perception. Then, the highlight of the first 5 levels is Resourceful. It basically lets him craft non-magical items, kind of like an artificer. That brings in his Resident Evil resourceful vibes of crafting herbs, crafting ammo. Kind of crafting herbs, crafting ammo. I don't think he really crafts anything else. Or combining things into one, like combining different ammo packs. That's what this kind of embodies. And all of this is non-magical, so it can be ammunition in case your campaign has guns. Then, level 3, Subclass. He also gets a fighting style level 3. Kind of where I'm bringing in the fighter style. And then, level 5, he also gets an extra attack. Now his mid-level stuff. His highlight is a level 7 ability called For My Friends. It basically lets him get bonuses to himself, such as +2 to AC, extra 1d6 damage on one of your attacks, regain 2d4 hit points at the start of each of your turns, add your proficiency or bonus to one attack roll you make, use Resourceful without expending a use and taking time, so like slowing down time and crafting in his inventory. And each of the effects, like 2d4 hit points start each of your turns, +2 bonus to AC, lasts for a minute. And then he also gets Unwavering Mentality, which means you get to add your Constitution modifier to saving throws against Charmed, Frightened, or Magically Put to Sleep. You also have advantage on these saves. So basically, he's like starting to like resist conditions, extremely good at not being tortured, that kind of stuff. And then he also has Disease Control. His body resists corruption and infection, so he's now immune to disease, and you have resistance to effects that would reduce your maximum hit points. So, resistance means you take like half of it. So if for some reason you would have your maximum hit points reduced until the end of your next long rest, that would only be half of what it normally would do. And then later levels, he gets Extreme Tactics. Extreme Tactics gives him proficiency or expertise in stealth, as he can take down people with knives, he can like sneak past people. And then he also learns 2 maneuvers from the Battlemaster Fighter archetype. You see, I'm very much taking a lot of things from Fighter and putting them into this, because he really is a glorified fighter. He could have been made into fighter subclasses, but this embodies him a little more. And then also when you do those maneuvers that would normally require a superiority die, you roll a d6 instead. And then For My Friends Improved. Just put Improved, I don't really have another name for it. I guess For My Friends Upgraded? That's basically the same thing. So you just get you get to choose 2 benefits from the thing, from the list that I said earlier. And in addition, while the feature is active, you can use your reaction up to twice during the effect to protect an ally you can see within 10 feet of you, and if you do so, you reduce the damage they take by a number of d6s equal to your proficiency bonus. again, he is extremely, like, balanced and more defensive leaning as of right now. And then Hardened Survivor, level 18, gets advantage on Constitution saving throws, including death saves. And he cannot be stunned or knocked unconscious with more than one hit point. Again, he is extremely, like, defensive. The more I'm reading, the more I'm going back and rereading this, the more I'm like, yeah, he's extremely defensive. And then you finally, at level 20, the big thing, Armsmith. And during a long rest, you get to use your resource feature to craft non-magical or magical weapons. So firearms, armor, and they have to be rare rarity or lower. And you have to have previously used the weapon or handled it in some way. Crafting a magical item in this way requires materials equal to half the item's market value paid in gold or other components at DM's discretion. If you craft ammunition, you create one full pack, the amount that would normally be sold or found together in a campaign, such as 10 to 20 rounds, determined by your DM. So, my campaigns, I don't normally play ammunition or bolts, and that kind of stuff, because I don't see a point. But if you do, this basically means you don't craft one bullet. This can also apply to the level 2 feature if you find that more fair. And magical items last 7 days, and that's about it. And you can only craft one magic weapon at a time. Now, we make it to the Rookie Cop subclass. So, these are subclasses. The Rookie Cop subclass is even more defensive. This is extremely defensive class, or subclass, allowing you to take commands from other PCs, giving you +1 to attack rolls and deal extra damage equal to proficiency bonus. And you can and it requires the help action or a direct command. That's kind of up to the DM. This can be a little bit spammed, that's why it doesn't do very much damage. And people have to take time out of their own turns to help you do that. And then you also get knife play. This, in my opinion, is one of the better weapons. And it basically means if you have a light or finesse weapon and hit by a melee attack, you can use a reaction to half the damage. Flat out half the damage. However, that weapon is now lodged in the attacker, requiring you to use a bonus action to go and retrieve it on your turn. And you can only use this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. And then we get herb crafting, which will increase your maximum hit points once by 2. And if you would be dropped to 1 hit point, if you would be dropped to 0 hit points, you instead get dropped to 1 hit point instead. So, then we finally get to our Resident Evil 4 Leo. This is much more offensive, and you're going to be attacking a lot more. This is no longer just like I'm gonna hit him a couple times, but I'm also gonna go heal my allies. This is much more offensive. With your roundhouse kicks, if you're more unarmed strike oriented, you can your new unarmed strike is a roundhouse kick, doing 1d8 bludgeoning. So, extremely strong, extremely strong unarmed strike if you like that. Knife skill, which means when you hit a creature with a light melee weapon, it does an additional 1d6. So, kind of like Leon using his knives or his hatchet if you're playing Resident Evil 9. Neck snap kicks, proficiency bonus, and when you take the attack action, you can use your bonus action to make a special unarmed strike against a creature within your reach. On a hit, target takes 2d8 bludgeoning damage and must succeed a con save, or has disadvantage on all attack rolls and can't take reactions. The DC is 8 plus proficiency plus your strength. Standard DC. So this one is extremely strong, and you only get proficiency bonus uses across your long rest. Right? And then Knife Parry. Knife Parry lets you parry everything as your reaction. Leon Hatchet Parry. And it reduces damage by 2d10 plus strength plus proficiency. And if you do reduce damage by 10 or more, you get to immediately follow up with an unarmed strike, if you just want to punch him, a roundhouse kick, or a neck snap kick, but it expends a use. So, as you can see, Knife Parry is still extremely defensive. However, it follows up with offensive ability. Alright? So that is the main core class. So, how would it really play? So, it, again, as I've mentioned many a times, plays like a fighter. So, punching things, kicking things if you're RE4 Leon, but it also plays extremely defensive. So, when I mean defensive, I mean like he's not going to be dying at higher levels. Alright, but the downside is he obviously relies extremely on his weapons. So, he is obviously going to be. He's kind of a tank, but he does not do a ton of damage unless you multi-class him in a weird way. And I'm thinking Rogue Sneak Attack would be an interesting way to multi-class him. However, I'm not going to get into multi-classes. Multi-classing could completely change up his playstyle. And if you ever need to, and if you're ever worried about him, just increase the boss's health. He's going to be tanky, but if the boss is tanky, he's not going to be able to put up a constant rate. He's not going to be able to put up a ton of DPS compared to fighters, rogues, paladins, any of them. And that's kind of expected out of a more defensive-heavy class. So, this class fits extremely well into a party with mages, mages and rogues. Anybody with D8 hit dice and are going to be squishy, he will go great in, especially if he's playing defensive. Defensively, he's just going to be a menace, as we all know. So, and then if you want to play this class, you're going to be a extremely defensive, extremely bulky guy, and I'd honestly recommend leveling just straight con and dexterity. Constitution dexterity is all you're going to need in this class, and that's about it. So, if you enjoyed this class, there's a PDF in the description of this video, and I'll probably pin a comment with it, just in case. And that'll take you to the Homebrew website. I am not sponsored by them. That is just where I make all of my homebrew. I think it is amazing. And my old high school coding class actually helped me because I'm using that coding language. So, if you enjoyed and you do wind up using this class, I would really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, maybe drop a comment, or drop a comment critiquing this class and what I should improve. And if I do take your suggestions, I will pin your comment. Or, well, link your comment. I don't know how that'd work, but we'll see. You will get the credit you deserve, my friend. So, if y'all like this, thanks for tuning in.